Hello, welcome to the self-learning platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today in Unit 1, what is political theory and why study it? We start our lecture with topic political theory contents. Politics as a political activity is usually associated with cynicism and skepticism, demonstrating self-seeking behavior, hypocrisy, and manipulation of attitudes. This negative connotation hardly holds any ground. Political theory is neither a theory of politicking nor a theory of political intrigues. It is a disciplined investigation of what constitutes the political. Its contents have varied from time to time. From the early Greeks in the Western political tradition to the end of the 18th century, political theory concerned itself mostly with what politics ought to be. Almost during the whole 19th century and the first half of the 12th century, political theory dealt largely with the nature and structure of government as a decision-making body. Then came a period when some of the American political scientists, under the influence of the scientism, declared the demise of political theory as against those, mostly the British, the traditionalists, who advocated the value of political theory as a guide to political action. With the fast changing complexion of the world, political theory has happily survived the onslaughts of the end of ideology and the end of history debates. The concern of political theory today has been both the nature and proper ends of the government. Political theory as a disciplined investigation of political phenomena is closely related to why and what of the institutions of the government and the whole political system in which government operates. To study political theory is to study the context in which it exists. We need to understand political theory within the realms of the political system. The political system within the realms of social system. The social system within the realms of the period it exists, and in the environment it breeds. The contents of the political theory include understanding of what is really political, to link political with what is non-political, and to interrogate and coordinate the results of the numerous social sciences for knowing its own nature. Its scope is not limited to what it constitutes, but to what exists in the periphery and beyond, suggesting that the task of defining what is political is a continual one. Sheldon Wallin includes the following in the contents of the political theory: a form of activity centering around the quest for competitive advantage between groups, individuals, or societies. A form of activity conditioned by the fact that it occurred within a situation of change and relative scarcity, a form of activity in which the pursuits of advantage produce consequences of such magnitude that they affect in a significant way the whole society or a substantial portion of it. Now let us move to the next point, nature of political theory. To know clearly as to what political theory really is to know its nature. Political theory is said to be political thought, and that is why there are some who describe political theory as denoting the work of numerous thinkers. But it is not what political thought is. There are others who equate political theory with political philosophy. It is true that the political theory constitutes a part of political philosophy, but it is only a part. A part can never be a whole, and as a part, it remains only a part of the whole. There are still others who, after incorporating science in politics, prefer to call it political science. But those who insist on a science of politics refuse to admit if there ever had been a history of politics or a culture of politics. Brecht therefore would say political philosophy, political theory, and political science are no longer interchangeable terms, with the emphasis placed on the science and a distinction from political philosophy. Political science now refers to efforts limited by the use of scientific methods, in contrast to political philosophy, which is free to transcend these limits. Likewise, political theory who oppose to political philosophy now is usually meant to refer scientific theory only, in distinction from the political philosophy. Any speculative thesis that is proposed by political philosophy can be part of political theory only as a working hypothesis. An auxiliary in the scientific kit and not or not yet as a piece of scientific knowledge. Political theory is not all history, but it is history in the limited sense. It is not all philosophy, but it is philosophy in some degree. It is not all science, but it is science in so far as it responds to reason. A political theorist have to be a part of historian, a part of philosopher, and a part of scientist. Now the next topic is political theory as history. That political theory is history has been emphatically advocated by scholars like George Sabine, but all history is not political theory, just as all political theory is not history. Political theory without history is a structure without a base. In studying and analyzing politics, what we learn to understand is a political tradition and a concrete way of behavior. It is therefore proper that the study of politics should essentially be a historical study. History, we should know, is more than the tale of the dead and the buried. It is a storehouse of experience and wisdom, successes and failure, of what has been achieved and what has been lost. It is the sum total and simulate, simultaneously the formation head of a new development. Something, as Professor Alice Rathore says, eternally significant and intricative, inseparable, linked with contemporary in the perpetual progress of mankind. Ignore history, he warns, and the light of political theory is never to be retrieved. Political theory as history defies what has lost its value. No one cries now that the state has been a divine creation or the result of a contract in the state of nature. As history, political theory conserves what has significance and helps posterity to cherish it for a long time to come. Concepts such as justice, liberty, equality, obligation, as evolved through the annals of time, are being held high by political theory today and shall continue to be so in future. Indeed, history never repeats, but it can hardly be ignored. In the attempt to divorce itself from the history, political theory loses its own significance. For there can be no fruits without roots, as Seeley has said long ago. It is through history that the political theory explains what is what. One can never understand a text without its context. Plato communalism was significantly different from what is claimed to be Marx communalism. And one can understand communism of each by understanding the history of their respective time. It is one's age that promotes and propels one's political theory. History shapes and reshapes political theory. How can then political theory ignore its one aspect, the historical aspect? Sabine writes that the great political theory excels both in an analysis of a present situation and in suggestiveness for other situations. As such, a good political theory, Professor S.P. Verma writes, even though it is the outcome of a peculiar set of historical circumstances, has a significance for all times to come. It is exactly this universal character of political theory which makes it respectable. Political theory is history in the sense that it seeks to understand the time, the place, and the circumstances in which it evolves. If it ignores its history context, it loses its strength, its focus, and its message. Any political theory has to have facts as the basis. Circumstances in which it develops. The causal factor as Sabine describes, and the message that political theory, the valuation factor as Sabine would insist. Political theory is not merely or only history, the statement of facts in on which it works and has worked in the past. It is a science in so far as it is not understood in isolation, and also a philosophy in so far as it motivates. Now let us move to the next point. Philosophy emerges when opinion assumption attains the height of knowledge, and that is why what exactly is the task of political theory. Political theory as philosophy is an attempt to replace opinion assumption about the nature of political things by knowledge of the nature of political things. Values, trust, beliefs are an indispensable part of political theory as they are of philosophy. Every political philosopher has to be a teacher in his own right. He must profess, he must teach, he must persuade. Professor Verma therefore writes that the objective of persuasion is always there before the political theorist. What some of the modern writers have described as the folklore of political philosophy or mere ideology is vital for the understanding of political theory. Political theory not only explains but also affects favorable or adversely. Evaluational aspects of the political activity are as important as its factual aspects. It is in this sense that the values and the facts form an integral part of the political theory. Now let us move to the next point, political theory as science. That political theory is a science has been forcefully emphasized by scholars from Arthur Bentley to George Catlin, David Easton, and Robert Dahl. But all science is not political theory, just as all political theory is not science. Political theory is not science in the sense chemistry, physics, or mathematics is a science. It is not as abstract as science as these natural or physical sciences are, because there are no universally recognized principles, no clear cause-effect relationships, no laboratories, and no predictions are made in political theory the way these are found in natural and adject sciences. It is a science in so far as it admits concepts and norms which are both observable and testable, and in so far as it responds to the requirements of reason and rationalism. The American social science researchers in general and the behaviorists in particular sought to create a science of politics and in the process indulge in what may be called reductionism. Political theory is a science in so far as it can and in fact is applied to a social gathering and the definitive rules of the exact science are applicable within the limitations as in any social science. Political theory as a science is only a social science. It is a science in its methodology, in its approach, and in its analysis. To that extent, it is science, a prime science, as Aristotle had described it. It is a science in so far as Its conclusions are drawn after study, observation, experiments, features which go along with any normal definition of science. There is no need to go a long way to make a science of politics and to find techniques and tools to make politics an adjunct science, no matter whether there remains in the process any political theory or not. The role of science in political theory should be limited to the extent that it helps understand a political phenomena, and to that extent science should have an entry in the realms of the political theory. Political theory admits objectivity in association with the subjectivity, facts in relation to the values researched together with theory. Political theory as science generates neutral, dispassionate, and objective knowledge. There are limits of social sciences. In contrast, the rules of the game, that is, the adjunct science, do not change with time. The laws of physics, for instance, can be assumed to pertain to all situations at all times, past, present, and future. But this is not true to the social sciences. The nature of the economic and political is, Colin Hay says, different after Keynes and Marx in the way that the physical and the natural is not after Newton and Einstein. We must remember that social structure, unlike natural structures, do not exist independently of the activities they govern. Social structures, unlike the natural structures, do not exist independently of the agent's conception of what they are doing in their activity. Social structures, unlike natural structures, may be only relatively enduring. This is where the social sciences are different from the natural sciences. The limits of political theory are worked out within the ethics of the political analysis. Here we close our today's lecture. Thank you so much for your attention.